Hello, good evening.
Hi, was that Dawn that said hello? Hey, Rainey. Hey, Allison and Carmen, Brad. Welcome. We'll be getting started momentarily. We're still trying to work through some things. Hema is here, and he just got booted off of the Wi-Fi, so we're working on it.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't join you there. I've got a meeting right before this one, so I jumped from one to the next.
Well, glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay. Thank you. I see them on the TV, but I also see them here, so.
So go back to that one.
But, but, but they don't see me, right?
Well, they see you in a little box, but mostly they see
In the, I don't,
yeah, you won't see yourself there, but we see you.
okay.
Just in, like, see up there where like the number one is?
Yeah,
On Zoom, people will see you in a little box up there.
okay.
Yeah. Because my computer's showing what people see on Zoom. So your computer's showing people what we see here in the Kadampa. Yeah, so that black bar up there where there's a blue OK, you can click that OK. Where is that?
Shall we?
All right, I think we're ready.
All right. Well, good evening. I see Don and Carmen and Allison and Rainey and Brad. So thank you. Good evening. And then a lot of people here, a few people here. So let's start with our prostrations, okay? Let's do 3 prostrations. Actually, I'm in Kadampa Center, so I'll actually prostrate right here. Okay. So anyways, this is the last session. And so let's start with doing a little bit of calm abiding or concentration meditation and then do our motivation, okay? So get yourself situated in a comfortable position. And you know the 7-point positions. back is straight, jaw is relaxed, hands are right hand over your left, the right palm over your left, thumbs are touching, head is slightly tilted, and your eyes are slightly open or slightly closed. And just take a couple of deep breaths, scan your body, and concentrate on your breath. And if you find yourself swaying away or wandering, just gently bring yourself back to your breath. So let's set our motivation for this class time here today. So as we begin to bring more energy into the body and mind, make sure, again, as we do the motivation, you keep your spine a little straight. Okay? And so invite Shakyamuni Buddha's presence to this place. Seeing his very radiating golden light body and feel the whole room pervaded by this golden light. Our mind and body are also illuminated by this golden light. It passes completely through us, bringing illumination to the entire space. And just bathe in this presence of golden, radiating, energized wisdom light. Now call to your mind our wish to take advantage of this life that we have and to develop qualities to be free of any impurities, any obscurations, any suffering, and remembering our wish for freedom, peace, and wisdom energy. And especially call to the mind others whom we want to help, the kinds of suffering that we would like to stop, the kind of world that we would like to create, and to take responsibility to use our life's energy to do exactly that. And ask all our teachers in the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha here in this place to continue to bless our mind as we receive these teachings, and that we may be able to hear exactly what needs to be heard at this point in our practice, and that we may be able to put it into practice exactly in the manner in which it is intended for the benefit of all. So we'll keep Shakyamuni Buddha hanging there for a while. Our time permitting, during the dedication at the end, we will dissolve him. And this is again a training that even if you do your practice and if you have a good visual, you can kind of say, stay there, and you do other things and come back to it. You can do that. All right? So thank you. Bring your attention back to the class. So again, this is last session, session 6. And so it's a summation of everything we've covered so far. My hope is to give you a concise way of looking at, there's so much talking, right? You do this and we can do that, and we kind of sidetrack. And this is a good way to see the entire picture, okay, in front of you, to see what you want to do. Again, and We'll again review what Lama Zopa Rinpoche has suggested in a short way. And the key piece here is the quality and not quantity. While in the class, you have all kinds of people coming first time here, people who have been practicing, some people are advanced and have commitments. So they already have a set schedule, right? But the idea is to give you an overview. That doesn't mean even people with commitments cannot utilize some of these things that they've forgotten maybe, okay? To rekindle some of those thoughts again. So that's what we'll do today. And again, it's about quality and not quantity. It's not about all these things I gotta do. How am I gonna do it? It's not about that. It's about doing few things well. There are few things, preliminary practices you must do. It's like prepping yourself. It's like if you exercise, you stretch first, right? You don't have to go an hour of stretching, but for 5-10 minutes you stretch out before you exercise. Same way, this is to set your mind with the positive energy. So we'll go through that, okay? So here's what we're going to do is integrating Dharma into our lives. So we started by this statement that this is not about, again, doing so many mantras and you got to do this and you got to do that. It's about taking your practice and integrating it into your mind, right? Our goal is to become a Buddha, to be an enlightened being. And so what would it take for your mind? Currently you are in samsara and your mind is chatter. Every second some thoughts are coming through. How do you cleanse and convert them into positive thoughts, right? So it's about integrating. And I tell you that, and let me go through this. We'll go through some precious human rebirth topic. Lamrim is our last chance. Dharma is what holds us back from suffering. We'll go through a couple of these things, okay? And the whole goal is never give up. You will have doubts. You know, whenever you do practice, doubts will come. You may read something, hear something, it does not click, and you think, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense to me. And it is considered to be, it is very skillful when you get a doubt and you pursue it. Don't push it aside, right? You don't want to say, well, I'm not supposed to be getting a doubt. This is supposed to be the real grail here, right? That's not the way to think. A real skillful, even Buddha himself said, if somebody gives you something, gives you a book, teaches you something, check it out. If you're going to go changing your mind to positive states of mind, and if you have a doubt, how can you do that? So you have to make sure that to have a doubt about something, don't push it aside. Oh, forget it, and I won't do it. Why can't I believe this? Don't have those things. Go after it. Find out. They say that having a doubt and checking it out is like in the old tradition of Tibet, or in India or Asia, I should say. When you buy gold, you get bricks. So they kind of burn it a little bit to see if it's not something on superficially gold and then something else inside. They'll put a little cut in it, right? And they'll rub it, right? It's very similar to that. So debate yourself, go deeper, debate yourself, allow the doubts to come out, allow that feeling, I don't really believe. For example, I don't believe in lower realms. I haven't seen it, right? I don't know if it's true, this is ghost realms and hell realms and what is this, all this, right? Then ask yourself, why not? And debate yourself and say, is it possible that a person right now where planes are flying over and throwing bombs are living in hell realms? Is it true that some people are starving to death right now? You think through that and saying, could that be a hell realm? Come to some conclusions like that and then take it in. That's when you know that you either addressed it or put it aside, ask a teacher, and go through that, okay? But don't just push it aside. That's one very skillful way of actually getting experiences. And once you get that conviction in you, then you know that you have some sort of an understanding. So the whole point is to clear out all the cobwebs, right? And you need to experience things. So then they say that once you develop this, when the teaching should hold up. So one by experience. Experience is like burning that gold. Then through analysis. That's like cutting, right? You analyze it, think through it, sit on it for a while, and really look at it from all angles. Even compare teachings and words and logic. Think about the logical ways, and then look at the teachings and compare them. Okay? So that's how you want to do it. And it should make logical sense. Okay? It should be in harmony with your own direct experience. And be upheld by beings in whom you have faith, like your teachers or His Holiness Dalai Lama. Right? And then again, try to find your own way of checking whether or not they seem to be true. And this develops faith. Okay? So they are everything in our teachings, yes, one of this and a four of that, but I'm going to let you know that there's four kinds of faiths. Faith of inspiration. Okay? You look at His Holiness and think, that's amazing. You look at Geshe-la teaching here every Wednesday, every Sunday, and things he talks about, topics he talks about, say, oh, that's amazing. You feel it sometimes, right? That's amazing. That's inspiration. Then the faith of aspiration. Wow, I like to be like that. You want to be a Buddha too, right? So you say, I like to be like that. And then faith of engagement. Now what happens is you have this feeling and you start to engage. Come to the class, participate in things. Sometimes you volunteer to learn how the bowls are put together. Why is this over there and that is over there? All kind of stuff, right? You learn, you engage. And then what happens is after that is you have a faith of conviction. You say, yeah, this makes sense to me. You should contemplate deeply on why we do things, what we do, how we integrate Dharma into our lives so that you can progress. Okay? And then continue to protect your mind. If you just think about in 2 or 3 minutes of time, you walk out, what thoughts come to your mind? How many thoughts are coming through? From driving, somebody cuts you through, you forgot to eat something, somebody didn't do something you asked them to do, boom, 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 the mind starts to chatter again. And you're always watching your mind. And I always tell people, and I'll say it again, for example, be careful of what kind of magazines you read. You know, you go to grocery stores and all you see at the end by the cash register are gossips, right? Divorces and millionaires and breaking apart and had another affair and all that kind of stuff, right? And then you sometimes even have friends that have a certain view and they'll go on and on and on about one biased viewpoint. So be mindful of that. That can drag you down. And then we live in a lawsuit industry, don't we? We like to blame somebody, right? Sometimes rightfully, sometimes not. Both corporate world, markets, all kind of garbage, and then somebody's just waiting to sue you. So this is a blame somebody culture. You watch any news even for 5-10 minutes, it's always something happened and we're going to find it and why he did it, she did it, he said it, right? It's always something. Repetitious news, you know, and this, all of us, including myself, we get into the news, we hear the political views, and the anger is coming up, biases come up. So be mindful of that. And then just know that it impacts your mind in an unhealthy way. Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, instead we should blame only one thing alone, the self-cherishing mind. Right? Your self-cherishing mind, the 3 poisons, is ignorance, not knowing how things exist, anger, and aversion. And when the ignorance you have ignorance, you have a strong attachment or to things and say, I like this and I don't like that. So if somebody talks what you like, that's juicy. Now this guy's a bad guy. So be mindful of that as you're practicing and what you're putting in your mind. Make sense so far? And then we talked about this at length, that the daily practice is just more than a sitting practice, right? So let's go through that. It starts. Now, at least I hope you're convinced that this is not just come one session or I sit for 10 minutes and that's my dharma. It starts the minute you go to sleep. Then it continues in the morning, right? And you start to, I'm going to use in the morning motivation. I want you to read this. It's a great way, if you have a phone, if you want to take a picture of this, it's a great way to start it. And you can make your own. But I like to at least share this with you. And it says, how extremely lucky I am that I have not died yet. I'm especially lucky that my death did not occur last night. Consequently, how wonderful and fortunate it is that today I am still a human being, a state that is extremely rare. But this is not all. I have a perfect human body, which is also extremely rare. I have met the virtuous friend who reveals the unmistaken, complete path to enlightenment, who's extremely difficult to meet, and I have met the Buddha Dharma, which is also extremely difficult to meet. Given that I have met all of these extraordinary fortunate circumstances, I should not waste my life in any way. I should make my life useful as possible for infinite other sentient beings. Their peace, their happiness depends upon me, and my happiness is only received from their kindness. Insofar as my life fulfills the greatest usefulness for all other sentient beings, it becomes the means to achieve success and happiness for myself as well. So I just put this up because I've read this a couple of times from Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Of course, it's pretty elaborate. You can make it short, you can make it quicker, or you can make your own. But the idea is to have a positive bodhicitta meditation. Motivation, intention. Okay, so let me get to my notes. And I again want you to know this. I had this slide last class. If you are seeking happiness, Buddha said, you can be free of suffering. You can free yourself from aging, sickness, and death. And he has given us a path. And we are all seeking happiness. Geshe-la even says, find somebody who's not seeking happiness. We all want happiness. So we want to become Buddha. That's the journey we are on. So this is again that qualities of Buddhas. We've all applied for this job, right? So we should at least be familiar with it. A fully developed person in the wisdom wing, omniscience, accurate cognition, literally knowing everything. Fully developed person in the compassion wing, omnipotence, infinite power, the effortless ability to do whatever needs to be done, has infinite compassion. So wisdom that knows exactly what and how, where and when, and who, with the capacity to do what needs to be done to perfectly benefit all beings. So when your mind is clear, when your mind is all-knowing, that's his job. And sometimes, I find myself questioning some of these things, and I'll go to mind and potential and start looking. And then he says, yeah, that's how it works. Okay? His job is to know. Right? So that's what we are doing. So anyways, let's kind of start summation now, okay? So you wake up and set your motivation for the day, right? And then you do prostrations, 35 to confession Buddhas. And these prostrations, again, people get a little nervous about doing so many prostrations. If you can do them, it is wonderful. Not only spiritually good, but physically good for you. It just lines up all your winds, and you start doing it. It's great exercise first in the morning. But then, 35 Buddhas actually said, they promised. And these are different aspects of Buddha and qualities that we want. And that's what it does. So it really opens up the channels for you. But for those who can't do it, back problem, or knee problems, or aging, then just put it on a tape and do as many as you can, or bow from halfway, as far as you're hearing it. Okay? And then, of course, we do preparatory practices. We'll settle our mind, daily practice of Sakyamuni Buddha, including your Guru devotion, Lamrim prayer, meditate a little bit on emptiness, do some mantra recitation, as many as you like, and dedicate, right? So let's look at those preparatory practices. Okay, so we talked about, in the morning, you're ready to go sit in your meditation cushion, right? And why do we do these? Why are these preparatory practices good? to prepare our minds for meditation. That's number one. To clear out negativities and impurities in our mind stream. Third, to develop a positive energy. So it's kind of preparing, like you're revving up your mind in a good way. And to bring success to your meditation. And there are subtleties in all of these little preparatory practices. Setting up an altar. You're thinking about, you're inviting Buddhas and your teachers to your home or to your altar. Itself is a very positive mind, right? Then you're offering things in the best way you can. It doesn't mean you go out shopping and buy all kinds of things. Even if you offer one flower or bowls, you can visualize multiple, some beautiful mental offering, right? And then you want to make sure that all the offerings you have are honestly obtained. You don't want to cheat somebody to get a flower, right? Then nicely arranging them. Then you sit on a meditation posture and generate the mind of refuge and bodhicitta. And we have short prayers. Even Geshe-la, when he starts anything, we first do bodhicitta, right? I mean, we take refuge. Sangye chodang chokki chok namla, right? Or I go to refuge until, you can take into Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By virtue of my merits, practices, and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. We say that. Literally a couple of seconds. But in the beginning, put your attention to what you are saying, so that I may become a Buddha to benefit others. By my practice and by my virtues, or by my learning. So virtuous mind, developing virtues, practices, and so forth. May I become Buddha to benefit others. So it's incorporated, interweaved in so many ways, the topic that we are covering right now. And then you invoke the merit field for those. Of course, Pabanga Rinpoche goes into real detail about what a merit field should look like, but for general purposes, at least have Shakyamuni Buddha or your teacher, right? Have your teacher seated there. Any deities you practice, you can develop a merit field, right? And you of course, bow to them. Then you offer 7-limb prayer. It's a very short 7 sentences in the prayer book. And I have pages, and I'll share that with you. So even if you open up your golden book, the prayer book in the back, you'll see 7-limb prayer. Matter of fact, if I can find it somewhere. So it should be in there, right in the beginning, in the preliminary, page 35, right? Exactly. Right? You can see those words. So you start with prostrations, then you make offerings, actual and imagined, right? He talks about that. Then you confess your negative actions, right? Then you rejoice. And remember, each of these things are an antidote. So prostration is remedy to pride. Making offerings, remedy to miserliness. Confession is remedy to negative karma and disturbing thoughts. Rejoicing, then you rejoice in the merits of all beings. You've done something good. Rejoice if you've done something well. Or if not you, think of somebody else who's doing a good job. Okay? Rejoicing is a very good way of really positive, to set a positive mindset, a good energy. Then requesting your teachers to stay. And what they do when they stay, you request them to teach. And they're guiding you, they're removing your ignorance, and they are giving you guidance and instructions. And they get you involved in Dharma practice. And then you want to steer this energy in a positive way, so you continue. So that's your 7-limb prayer. Right? And then you offer mandala offerings. You offer the universe. There's a whole write-up on how you can offer mandala. There's a whole process. But at least for right now, what would you give to attain Buddhahood? Or if Buddha was coming to your home, for example, what would you do? So you let go. Instead of holding on to things, you give up. Give your most favorite things away. It's going to go anyways, right? At some point. And make sure you're making requests for teachers to stay, for teachings to come. So that's why when monks come here, Geshe-like teaching, we offer kata, we offer them sometimes gifts. We are always requesting to come back. We offer them mandala also. You see people stand up and offer the mandala, right? It's right in the corner there. So it's a very normal practice. It's a wonderful practice, not only for yourself, but really for yourself in terms of integrating these positive thoughts in your mind. Any questions on preparatory practices? This is not time consuming. When you're teaching, you got to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But you can do this fairly quickly. It is not an elaborate, long practice. Simply prepping your mind, shifting your energies to positive mind. Any questions? Okay? Then you gotta finish your meditation. And remember, when you do your meditation, you can do it on Shakyamuni Buddha. You can do a little bit of Guru Yoga. Now, if you don't have a Guru, you can replace your Guru for Shakyamuni Buddha or do Shakyamuni Buddha as a Guru, right? It doesn't matter, it's all the same, right? And so then you make sure before you do your meditation, take 5 minutes and do this concentration meditation like we do the breathing. It just calms the situation down, puts the focus on it, and then do your meditation. And like Geshe says, you don't have to do a long meditation. In the beginning, even 10 minutes, and as soon as you feel like you're there, and you're beginning to, it may start to get dull, get out of it when it's right at the peak. And then as you get advanced, you can sit longer and longer and longer. Okay? So then your meditation is done, morning practice is done, you've dedicated your morning practice, now you're going to get ready. Some of us are retired, some have to go to work, some have to cook, some have to do other activities. But make sure that you can still continue to practice, and there are several ways we talked about. You remember some of those? So one thing is, you keep your practices that you've been training for, or you've been doing your practice in your mind. Kind of review them sometimes. Morning motivation or intention setting, it sets you in the right place. You said, I'm so glad to be alive today. I can be benefit to others. We depend on each other. Already calms you down. Right? And occasionally check if it applies to any current activity you're doing. If you're doing something, and see if that kind of applies to the practices you're doing. And then what do? You wear your lambrim colored glasses, so you've picked a topic of the day. Say impermanence or precious human rebirth. So you put your sunglasses on and you view the world from those glasses. Okay? So you're practicing. You see impermanence, you walk around and saying, geez, everything is impermanent. The trees are impermanent, the building is impermanent, the carpet is impermanent, we are impermanent. Everything around me is impermanent. Things change all the time. Great way to just have that in the mind, just look around. And you'll see a brand new building starts to get spots on it. Something that was so new, highway that was so shiny, maybe a year ago now has potholes. Things change. Great way to have those and keeps your practice going in that way. Now, do you have to sit down and think about it? No, even when you're walking, doing things, just observe. You see old people, young people, infants in mothers' laps, all kind of people. You see ambulance going. You see cops going. And you see all these things that are going on in the world. You see how things are. So think how precious your life is, that you're able to practice right now. So that's another way of putting lambrim glasses. Then look at your thought transformation, right? It's also in the prayer book, and I have all the pages, but it's on page 163, I believe, in the Gold Prayer Book. And just one particular paragraph comes to my mind. And it says, vigilant, the moment a delusion appears in my mind, endangering myself and others, I shall confront and avert it without delay. So isn't that what we are talking about? When you're practicing, please take a pause before you react. You know when two people are having conversation or a group conversation. We are halfway listening, but we are already ready to talk, give an opinion, without really assimilating what the person is trying to say. And I have found it very helpful to me, even with work schedule and stuff like that in meetings. Just pause a little bit and think about what you're saying, and at the right time. Not only that, people will listen to you, but then you've already put it in the right perspective, rather than reacting. You know, you get bad email and you want to react right away. Right? That's our nature. But it helps to just pause a little bit and say, is it worth it? Okay, so think about that. And then obviously practice eating, your eating yoga. You take a break, you offer, say, Om Ahum. It stands for divine, holy body of Buddha's body, speech, and mind. Goes into the food. And then don't forget to offer the food to your teachers and your Shakyamuni Buddha. And then as soon as they bless the food, when you take it's like raining down to the Buddha in your heart. The Buddha you want to be is absorbing that. So you can see it in a very positive way. And we'll go through that in a minute. And then don't forget those bodhicitta phrases. I will list a few here just for fun. This is Lama Zopa Rinpoche has an entire little book here. I probably won't, you guys on the Zoom won't see it, but it says taking the essence all day and night. It's in this. Okay? And you can see when you open the door, for example, may I open the door to the enlightenment for others. May the heavy birth beings be freed from hell realms as I open the door. I'm freeing them all. You close the door, may all the doors to the lower realms be shut forever, and may no sentient beings ever go there again, for example. You're getting off the cushion, may I bring all beings up from the lower realms, right? You can do a couple of these things, right? When you're prostrating, it's very good to visualize all sentient beings appear in a human form, including your pets. So your parents, family, friends, like in front of you. And when you're prostrating, they are also prostrating. And may all mother sentient beings be purified when you prostrate. And when you drive a car, you can say, think, may I guide all beings in the great vehicle, Mahayana. It's a good one. Right? So, and when you go to work, I have this, when you go to work, it's an opportunity to transform appearances in our lives. So you wonder sometimes at work, you have a manager that micromanages. You see people bickering, people gossiping. People don't hear you when you talk. And you relate that to karma. Maybe last life you had something to do. But you know what? The main thing is not about pointing to the last karma, but you can change something now. So you can really put forth some actions in your workplace where normally you would have reacted. You see things are happening a certain way, and why are you seeing it? Why are you involved in it? And you find out, hey, maybe previous life, I must have done something like that, but what can I do now so that I don't have to face this again? Again, a way to practice and change your mind. So as you can see, when you're practicing, and daily practice doesn't mean just meditation, it goes on. Everything you do, you're trying to change positive energy, okay? And it aligns with the teachings, okay? And so again, to end the yoga of working, you're consciously creating new actions, positive actions, okay? We'll end with that. And then yoga of eating, we talked about that a little bit. You bless the food, drink Om Ahum, offer first to the teachers. You can even offer cloud mantra. And then remember their kindness, your teachers, and then nectar flows, nice shower raining on Buddha in your heart. And when we say conscious or heart in Buddhism, we are talking about mind. It's not the physical organ. Okay, mind. Then actions of virtue. All through the day, think of little actions of virtues that we can create and continue to expand our store of merit. Okay, virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind. If you went through the DB of karma, we talk about the non-virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind. And you apply antidotes. You want to do the virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind. And then you come home. You're tired. You sit down. You reflect on your day. You sit, think about positive things happen, how your practice went, good thoughts that came, some bodhicitta thoughts, those phrases you mentioned. Just kind of relax and think about some of those things that happen, and maybe even some negative things, right? It happens when you are in samsara, things have come up. And think about them, how we can regret doing them. It comes up. I need to work on this. I need to work on that. And do something about it. It's a really good little sort of a diary or a report or a review of the day, right? So reflect on the day and rejoice the positive things you did. Really pat on the back, right? Because you did something good. Okay? And you can also reflect on the negativities. And of course, we talked about purification. Do Vajrasattva practice in the evening. Most people who are sincere do Vajrasattva practice every night. And if you can't do the entire practice, you can't memorize the 100-syllable mantra, you can say Om Vajrasattva Hum. Om Vajrasattva Hum 28 times. How many minutes will it take? You can do that very quickly, even in your fingers. 28 times. Om Vajrasattva Hum. Om. And you're purifying. And when you're purifying, you always want to start with what they call the 4 opponent powers. So what you do is, you first rely, you say, I rely on my refuge and the 3 sublime rare ones, for example, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. That's my reliance. I rely on those things. I regret my negative actions accumulated since the beginningless times, all the negatives. I regret them. My remedy is to now commit to virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind. And my resolve is to become enlightened, to benefit others. You can just say these 4 lines like that sometimes. All right? And what happens is then you do your Vajrasattva practice and purify. You regret those negativities, purify. And some people go on and they have time. They recite Heart Sutra, page 76, because it's all about emptiness teaching that Buddha gave. Very profound. Usually before any teacher comes and begins, a lot of times they'll do Heart Sutra. And you can touch on any long-term topics, from precious human rebirth, impermanence, death, refuge, right, karma, 4 noble truths, suffering, bodhicitta, equanimity, 6 perfections. You can take any topics, do a little reading on it. Right? And then you close your practice. Before you go to bed, make sure you do a sleep yoga. And remember, how do you visualize when you are laying down? You're supposed to set the intention. You will practice, and then you think that you will practice Dharma and help others while you're in your dream state. You first of all lay on your right side with your hands or your palm right on your cheek, if you can. Think, may I pass away from sorrow like Buddha himself. Imagine you're lying with your head in the lap of your teacher or Shakyamuni Buddha, with a wish to always be with them, and then pass into sleep with them in your mind. So now what happens when you wake up? When you wake up, remember you were laying in the lap of Buddha or your teacher. Visualize that as you wake up, the Buddha melts into light and enters your crown and descends in your heart. This gets you going. Then you do your bodhicitta phrase in the morning or motivation and start your day. So, a lot of things, but if you think about this, it's really just thoughts. Few words that you may need to look up to just get yourself organized, but it's not a lot of stuff there. Now, reading, how deep you go into it, how long you meditate, that may all depend on you. 10, 15 minutes, half an hour, depending on your time. but start small. At least do a few things, and when you walk, when you go, when you circumambulate, keep certain things going in your mind. Let a little mull with you a little bit. Okay? So here it is. I made this slide just in case people want to know where can I find this stuff? Where do you find this material? So as you can see, I have the same gold prayer book. It just has a cover on it, but I have marked everything, right? So when I need it, I'm able to read the topping and go, there it is. So you may want to, I don't know how seriously you are, but you may want to consider that book because it has so many prayers. And it has all your preliminary practices, your morning purification practices, 6 preparatory practices. You can all the certain mantras you can recite. It has dedications, some Lamrim topics. Okay? So, any questions so far?
I will just mention, Hemant, that the gold prayer book, the physical copy, this particular one that we use here at the center in the Kadampa is no longer available as a hard copy, but you can get the next version, basically, that has all of the prayers online at fpmt.org, and then just go to the shop. And some of the page numbers may be different. So if we call them out here, like page 161, it may be different in that version of the prayer book.
All right, well, thank you for that.
Sure.
All right, and again, I just mentioned a couple of these sutras that are mentioned. Sutras are teachings. So the teachings of Buddha, 84,000 teachings, are put into 3 categories, or 3 baskets, they call it. The teachings of Vinaya. Vinaya is the word Vinaya. It's an old Pali or Sanskrit word for discipline, for precepts, lay vows, that kind of things. Then you have sutras, the teachings that Buddha gave in various locations, general teachings. Some of them are Sutra of Golden Light, Vajrakata Sutra, Heart Sutra, which we mentioned, right? And then the third category is called Abhidharma, which is more on an advanced level, topics on mind, things like that. Okay, knowledge, mind, just kind of categorized certain way. But sutras are normal teachings. So if I was reading Lama Yeshe archive about Golden Light Sutra, and Lama Zopa Rinpoche says it's a profound teachings, and it's just from protection, especially in this time when there's wars going on, political fights going on. It's good for protection, guidelines for ideal government, awe-inspiring stories of Buddha's previous lives. So it's a great sutra. Vajrakata Sutra or Diamond Cutter Sutra is well known for that if you want to get more into the understanding of the concept of emptiness. But the most profound on emptiness, once you have the concept down and you want to understand emptiness, it's the Heart Sutra. So please take some time sometimes as you're browsing through this to look at some of this material. And then I want to talk about, we continue to accumulate merits during the day, whenever you get a chance, on the weekends, when you come here, help out. Somebody says, can you please help me with arranging the chairs? Can somebody do the bowls? Can you turn the lights off? Anything you can do. Helping others cross the street. Right? Help somebody. Be kind to them. Okay? And then obviously you want to continue with your purification practices regularly, if you can. In the evening is a great time because you've already gone through the day. It doesn't take too long to do it. Really, if you memorize the 100-syllable mantra, you can do it in 10 to 12 minutes. In the beginning, it may take 15, 16 minutes. But once you know it, it just goes very quickly, and you can do it very quickly. Okay? And then don't forget, I want to make sure, the heartfelt requests. You have a teacher as a friend here, spiritual friend. Make sure you will see sometimes you make a request, and lo and behold, in 2 sessions from now, he's talking to you. Right? And so if you don't request, you don't get the teachings. It's also another way of your mind. You're telling your mind that you want Dharma to come to you. It's not always going and talking to somebody. It's a way of getting this dharma into your own mind. Okay? So here's a good example, helping others, making offerings to Sangha, taking care of your parents, families, friends. More traditional offerings, you can do mandala offerings, you can do water bowl offerings, some merits. Remember the four opponent powers. Think about, regret the mistakes you made. Okay? And you find when teachings are not coming, there's a block. You read it again and again and again, it's not making sense to you. A purification practice is necessary at that point, and you will see that it will open up those channels. And then you can always, we have a choice, right? We have Vajrasattva practice and prostrations. And then again, I talked about heartfelt request. When you're talking, for example, topics like emptiness, which is a little more complex topic for many people, you need your teacher's help. We think I can Google everything and find out. Not true. When you were learning to walk, your parents helped you. You look at the biggest pianists and other big people who are become famous, they had teachers, coaches. So we need a teacher. Okay? And this last sentence I like, when we make heartfelt requests, we relate to different levels of teachers or gurus and to our own mind. It's how your mind is seeing that. You seeing a person, or you seeing the teaching, the dharma, or like Buddha talking to you. That takes a certain amount of mind. A positive mind will see this in a very certain way. Otherwise, like, oh, I don't need anybody. I can just look it up. Right? So think of those things. I think the last one more thing I have here is importance of a retreat. Remember, sometimes you just need to refresh. Too much stuff, work, practices, so much stuff going on. And you need to just take a day off. Right? It's like Lama Zopa, Lama Yeshe even says, it's taking time for you to refresh yourself, to regenerate yourself. Half a day, 1 day, just get away. Get your mind in the right place. And you can get some really good experiences when your mind is calm and not thinking about, I gotta do this and I gotta go in the kitchen and I have to do this and all these things that go on all the time in your head. When you take a retreat, there's no phone, no television, right? And so it calms you down. Just look at the nature. So we're gonna do some review questions. And time permitting, we'll do meditation, otherwise we'll do dedication. So let me start by, if people have questions of that. So if I can say, name and describe the 7-limb prayer. Can anybody go through a couple of those? What do we do in a 7-limb prayer?
Offering.
Prostration.
Yep,
Dedication.
that's another one. Two or three more.
Declare negative action.
Beautiful.
Rejoice.
Very good. And request to stay and teach. So those are 7 limbs. What are the 6 preparatory practices and what is their function?
Anyone in here want to take a stab at that?
Yep, very good.
All I know is one, setting up the altar.
You're cleaning the room, setting up the altar. Again, we make offerings in a manner free from wrongdoings, livelihoods. We sit in a 7-point posture, right, for meditation, and then set the mind for refuge and bodhicitta. Invoke the merit field. Remember the Buddha or your teachers. Offering 7-limb prayers and mandala. You offer and making requests. So these are your preparatory practices, in which one of them is the 7-limb prayer. Okay. So how do you know what meditations to do and when structuring your daily practice? So how do we know what meditations to do? Where to look for, what to find, where can I find them, or how do I get to the topic?
Would
Hungry
it be
Mark
that
Twain.
you start with gratitude, with the joy of being alive, of having awakened?
Very good. Precious human rebirth. We did that, remember? So the best way is look at your Lamrim topics. Okay, and if you did your readings at all, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, half the readings in the back tells you exactly what to do. Okay, you can think about death and impermanence, taking refuge. You can think about karma. You can talk about Four Noble Truths. You can analyze so many things, right? So the topics are there. You just need to open your Lamrim Chenmo or Liberation in Palm of your hands and take a topic, sit down, you have your doubts, challenge them, work with them, make sure you understand them, debate with them, come to some sort of a conviction. If not, put it aside, talk to a teacher. Find out till you feel good experience. It's good to have those doubts. It's skillful not to push them aside, because once you experience it and once it's in your mind, then it will stay and you can move forward. It's the accumulative experiences that eventually will change your mind into the state of towards enlightenment. Okay? So that's a very good one. Okay, so let's talk about this. So what are three main activities you can do to overcome
I'm sorry.
obstacles?
Hey, man, before you move on, so when you talk about that level of meditation, it would be generally analytical meditation. Is that right? If you're delving into those topics that you suggested.
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways to do it, right? You can review a topic. Okay, if you get I think there's one in the website for this session where there's all these meditations based on Lamrim. So you can just look through, for example, Precious Human Rebirth and see all these richnesses and endowments. See if you relate to it. Maybe there's something else, there's something that clicks in it and say, I am glad I'm not in the animal realm. And then you go through some thinking, why? Why that resonates with me, right? Now, you may come up with something that you are still not clear and you want to analyze. If Geshe-la says, there is no I, for example, I'm just giving an example, you got to contemplate on it. Well, I feel it. I am Don. I am Hemant. I walk. I eat. I do every day. Then why do they keep on saying there's no I? So now you have a topic to think about. And you go deeper and deeper and deeper and find out, where is it? I have organs. Is it my mind that says I, and I just kind of attach to it? But if when I die, what happens to that I? You start to think, you think more. Is it my blood cells? Is it my leukocytes? Are my RBCs? Are my bones? Are my hair? Is it my eyes? Oh no, it's all put together. Right? You can start to think like that. But you're changing every single day. Impermanence. So you go through some of those things and you start to analyze, just like Don said, yes. So you can do review meditation, you can analyze, there's a couple of ways to do it, right? But that becomes your meditation. So question was, what are the three main activities you do to overcome obstacles in the practice? How do they work? So I can tell you, because you may not remember, you purify your negativities, so purification, accumulation of merits, and making heartfelt requests. So the question was, what are the three main activities you can do to overcome obstacles in practice? Purification, accumulate merits. Remember, merits are like a bank balance, right? Keep on accumulating it. You get your karma better. Maybe the next phase in your life is much better. And making heartfelt requests for teachers to come teach you. Okay? So one more question, I think one or two more questions. Describe some activities you can do in between sessions as part of an effective daily practice. And why is this important? So the answer was yoga of food, eating. Yoga of sleeping. Bodhicitta phrases. You can do walking meditation, wearing those lamrim glasses, reciting mantras. You can do prayer wheels. It was class number 3. You can do prayer wheels. You can, of course, lamrim glasses, we just talked about it. Take a topic, see the world from that perspective, just to analyze how things are. Is the teachings, are they aligned with my thinking? Are they telling me this is exactly how it is? And you can see it. I talked about impermanence today. Look around. That's your lamrim glasses, right? Say those phrases. Okay? In between sessions is as vital as your daily practice, because it becomes like, okay, I got to the class, now I got to do what I got to do, right? But remember, your mind is still working. And now and then you can do a few things, and you can turn it into positive. Like when a mother puts a lunch for their children going to school, what a positive thought. What are they thinking about? Not only what they will eat and nourish themselves, but loving them. Wanting to make sure they are nourished. Isn't that a positive thought? Dedicate that. It's so wonderful. It's a good feeling. So you can do so many little things like that, right? So, and the last thing is, what is Lama Zopa Rinpoche's advice to discovering Buddhism students in terms of how to practice in the morning and evening? Like, you should have a kind of a line now. What do you do in the morning? What do you do next? What do you do next? And then how do you go to work? And what do you do in the evening? We kind of went through that several times, right? So I'll just say it. You set the motivation. Remember, you wake up first. The Buddha that you were sleeping in the lap melts into you, right? And you are energized, and you do your motivation. Then you do your prostrations. And then you can do your lamrim practices, reading, and then preparatory practices. You can do your preparatory practices. Then you do your meditation. Do a little bit of lamrim teaching if you have time. Then you go to work yoga or any other activities. Put your lamrim glasses. Think of those phrases. Positive mindsets, virtuous thoughts, benefiting others, helping out somebody here, that kind of stuff. Helping your Sangha members. Come back home, reflect. Rejoice good things you've done. Regret the bad things or negativities and see what you can do about it, and then you purify. Do a little bit of reading, maybe do another eating yoga, and then dedicate. Go to sleep again. See, so it kind of puts it in perspective. Again, this may be old, but I just put it here just because I have it. These mantras and lamrim prayers in different pages and parts. If somebody wants to take a quick look, if they have a new one, I don't know, then these pages may be changed. We'll have to find out myself and change this. I'll get a PDF and change this slide. But anyways, just to give you an idea, all these blessing mantras, blessing of the speech, 8 Mahayana precepts, extensive power of truth, Vajrasattva mantra, daily practices, lamrim prayers, thought transformation, dedication prayers are all in the prayer book.
In the new version of the prayer book, they'll be called the same thing, so you can just look it up at the index at the back of the online version and find these things, even if it's not these specific page numbers.
And it is after 8 o'clock. We can do a quick dedication, and close it out today, or I can do a full meditation. But before we go to dedication, are there any questions? Why daily practice is imperative? This is where the rubber meets the road. You learn all these things in DB, but this is the time to now pick up and start integrating these things in your life. So far, anything I've taught or we've gone through the classes in the session that you have, like, geez, I just don't get it. So let's just do dedication. The meditation is like 15, 20 minutes, unless you want to do it, but we'll do dedication right now. So, so take a moment in silence to send out all this positive energy to those we know of at this time who are especially in need. May they receive all the benefits of this effort. May their minds abide in peace. May they be free of fear, and may they have only happiness and causes of happiness in their mind. And may anyone who hears the teaching, thinks about this teaching, reads this teaching, or remembers this teaching, or comes into contact in any ways with this teaching, in that moment, may they be freed of all suffering. May they achieve their highest goals and quickly become exactly what is needed to benefit all. And at this point, if you remember in the motivation, the Buddha is still there on top of our head. He comes into you, he dissolves into you completely. Your body is full of light, like a shaft of light. And now you, in that nature, are going to go out in the world and benefit others. Thank you. So in closing, there's a little thing, the Chandrakriti's really nice little slide here I want to share with you. Again, remember this. Anytime you have freedom and your state is favorable, which you have, if you do not take their advantage and lose your freedom by falling into lower realms, who will then raise you up again? So this is precious human life you have. It's good to have this practice, integrate this practice, and develop positive minds of state. And it will take you to happiness. And so you develop your own roadmap. You have beautiful teachings from Lamrim Chenmo, right? And you make your own flow. Okay? And hopefully you progress slowly and steadily and reach that end state of enlightenment in this life. And remember, we are so fortunate to have our teachers here, our lineage teachers, all the way from Buddha. Lama Tsongkhapa Atisha is here. Lama Tsongkhapa is here. Lama Zopa Rinpoche has given us all these FPMT teachings. Geshe La, who teaches all the time. Kenshu Rinpoche, who comes here. Geshe Sangpo, who teaches us here. Just think about that for a second. In Raleigh, North Carolina. And of course, thank you.
Thank you, Hemant. I have a couple of quick announcements. Just want to give everyone a reminder that this is our last class for this module. Discovering Buddhism will be on a 2-week break, and then we'll start Module 9 on April 22nd. Robbie Watkins will be teaching that, and that's Samsara and Nirvana. It runs for 5 weeks to May 20th, so April 22nd to May 20th. And then even though we're on a 2-week break, for the next 2 weekends, we have a whole lot going on. So starting this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have Venerable Amy visiting us, and her classes will be available online as well as in person. If you haven't experienced Venerable Amy, please come or tune in. She'll be doing a weekend workshop Friday evening, all day Saturday with a lunch break in the middle, and then Sunday afternoon is the weekend workshop. She will also be teaching Sunday morning, the regular like Sunday morning Dharma. And so please join in, and the topic is preparing for death with confidence and compassion. And then the Sunday Dharma is another world is possible. So her teachings are amazing. She's from the United States, and she worked in DC in a very high-stress kind of political job. So she has a lot of relevant topics and things to share with her experiences, not only as a nun, but also, before she was a nun.
Can I say a couple
Sure.
things? I don't want to end without saying thank you to Linda and to our teachers and Geshe-la. And because of that, we are here and we're learning these things. And to all of you, I can't see everybody, but Cheryl, Farmer, thank you. Don, Rainey, and Tal, Allison, Margaret, all the people, and some people, maybe I don't see everybody, but thank you for joining. Margaret, thank you for turning the lights on. And I just appreciate you joining in. Hopefully this class will help you in some way.
Thank you very much. It was a very good class. Thank you, Hemant. Thank you, Linda. Thanks, everyone.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Just to continue on the next weekend, so that's coming up this coming weekend with Venerable Amy, but then the weekend after that's another big weekend. So on Friday, April 12th is Dharma Night at the Movies. That is in person only, and we'll be showing the devotion of Matthieu Ricard. And then Saturday the 13th is creating a Dharma will. And that's with Venerable Kandala here at the center. It will also be offered online as well. And that's offered as a follow-up to Venerable Amy's teachings on approaching death with compassion and confidence. So we can actually create a will, W-I-L-L, a will that has our Dharma wishes for at the time of our own deaths. And then you can also learn like how to help others at the time of their death. And then so that's Friday is Dharma Night at the Movies, Saturday is creating a Dharma will, and then Sunday the 14th of April is our second Sunday of the month, so we'll have our children's program that morning. So lots and lots happening, and then of course mark your calendar if you haven't already for May 8th when His Eminence Ling Rinpoche is here. That is a Wednesday, so if you work, you'll have to take the day off. Those offerings will be, he's going to teach on Foundation of All Good Qualities. We can offer that on Zoom, but also in person. And then later in the afternoon, there'll be an empowerment for Medicine Buddha Puja. Medicine Buddha. But that one's only in person, the empowerment. All right, everything is on the calendar, so go to the website, top right-hand corner's calendar. If you don't already get the email in your email box, sign up. That's also in that top right corner. You can sign up for that under Contact Us, and you'll get important announcements as well as a weekly email saying what's coming up. Okay, I think that's all. I'll let us get out of here. Thank you so much, Hemant, and thanks everyone for joining online as well as here in the Kadampa. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jane.
Everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Linda.
Bye.
Thank you, Emmett. Thanks, Lynn.